Afternoon, everybody. It's on this wonderful Monday afternoon, and we've got a treat for us today. We've got John from TMG Creative. John, tell us all about your business.
Hello. That's nice to see you, Tim. Thanks for having me on. All about our business. So TMG Creative is a creative agency. We make content, we develop brand, and we work in events. We specialize in sports membership spaces, but basically anyone who's looking to get into a community, we're pretty good at doing from a marketing point of view. That's
Brilliant.
us.
See, sorry, go ahead. So sports membership. Just elaborate on that a little bit.
So sports membership is probably a rubbish way of describing what we do. We work particularly in sport and we cut our teeth in football. We were lucky enough to work with the Football Association, among others, which brings all sorts of opportunities through the work that the FA do, really. We're really good at participation marketing, which means getting people who already do sport to do a bit more, or encouraging people that who want to do it or might not want to do it, that it's a good idea. Um, and then there are lots of brands and commercial sort of spaces that want to get into these organizations or certainly into these audiences. And we're quite good at helping them do that in a way that makes sense for the person who needs to understand why they're there. Um, that's what we do.
That's really interesting. So participation membership. What does that actually mean?
Not a lot. It's um, it's basically people who do something, who choose to do something rather than have to do something. So that might be through charity, it might be through, I don't know, like they're members of football clubs, they might be football supporters, but generally they'll identify as having an interest in sport or an activity, and they'll sign up to do it. They might pay to do it. They don't generally get paid for it, and that's what we do.
That's really interesting. So, for example, if I just take a local football club like Long Eaton Football Club,
Yeah.
they wanted to get more people in, how would they actually go about doing that sort of thing?
So the space that we come in there is the governing body are tasked by either the government or actually by themselves. The FA are an amazing client to work with, but this could be any governing body of a sport, and they're tasked with helping Long Eaton, to use your example, to either grow or to stay, or just to stay where they are, just to keep offering opportunity for people to play in sport, and then we'll come up with things which are generally the agendas that we set by us by a governing body or by a sponsor or something along those lines, and we'll help work through a way of doing that. That might be sport, the image of the sport, so make sure that it's inclusive of people, so they feel like they can volunteer to join your football club or football generally, and then find a football club near them. It might be to help to encourage people to go and volunteer at that space, so they've got somebody who can run a football club, something along those lines, or a sports club. It could be anything really. That's the joy of the space that we work in. It tends to be behaviours led, and it tends to be fairly positive, fairly interesting space to work, and it feels great every time you drive past a park full of football people playing sport, knowing that you had a little part to do with them being there.
That's that again is it's really topical at the moment because obviously what's happened last night with the
Pretty
Lionesses,
good, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic, and so therefore there's going to be another rocket launched under Al, the blue touch paper again. So how do you actually see that going? Is it, from that success?
yeah. So that's a really like amazing space, and having been involved in sport and in that sense, football, we're a very small part of that part, that drive to participation. All of those people playing on the football pitch last night. So last night was the Women's Euros final, which England won convincingly, um, and that was that's a process of an amazing amount of effort within sport to make people interested in sport. We're not the only agency that work in this space by any means at all. There are some giants that work in this space, and there are companies our size there as well, making people feel that they can play football. And to start with, this wasn't always popular. I think you'd be hard pushed to find people who out openly said they didn't want little girls to play football right now. But you'd be surprised a few years ago that that
Yeah.
was the mission that the FA really had to overcome, and they did it, in my opinion, absolutely brilliantly. Um, And yes, you can always do things better. And I'm sure that that work over there would say that, but that's only because they're trying to get it so much better than it ever was. It's an amazing space, and to be a tiny part of that, to drive past a football pitch, having helped run campaigns that might increase diversity or help coaches to understand how to speak to girls instead of little boys. Um, because you can't treat them the same way and expect them to react the same way. That was amazing. As a father of two little girls, like working on that side of things, we didn't do the research, but we helped bring it to life. It's an amazing thing to learn, and sport does that for people. Um, and being allowed to work in the marketing and the communication that is seriously exciting. So yeah, last night was brilliant. There's a few people missing from the team today because their washing machines delivered or whatever they've told me they're doing, but I'm pretty sure they were.
Absolutely fantastic. They told me about a bit about your journey, and was it 2017 you bought the business from the original founders?
2019,
90.
we bought the
Apologies, John.
business.
Apologies. So, did you always want to have your own business?
No, not at all. No, yeah, I had a vague idea that I quite like the idea of marketing. Quite like the idea of wearing a suit with no tie, sort of open collar, as it was when I was a kid. That was quite risky. Um, but I got into marketing. My then boss, a guy called Keith Daniel, who was brilliant and a real kind of mentor to me. Really taught me a lot. Uh, had this company that I went and worked as an admin assistant in after coming back from traveling with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. Um, and I was actually officially the worst admin assistant they'd ever had in data entry in this great big data company that lived upstairs. And my boss said, Keith said, look, why don't you try doing something else? You're not he's never the sort of man who said you weren't good at something, but maybe you'd be better elsewhere, and put me in a sales role in the creative side of the business. Um, and I ended up running events and account management and that kind of thing, which I really, really enjoyed. And then he did a really good job with the admin side of that business, and that sold to a much bigger PLC. And Keith said to me, "Why don't you have a go at running the creative side of the business? See if you can make it stand on its feet without its big brother, with a view that if we can get it somewhere that's a saleable thing, you might want to buy it." And we did that together, which was a really interesting process. And I quite like a challenge, and I'm quite competitive. So that's what we did. And
Brilliant.
yeah, I think Keith turned around and said, "Look, you're going to buy this or not?" So I said, "Fine, I'll buy it." And that's what we did. That's where we went.
Fantastic. I was chatting before, in 2019, and then the big C came along, the big COVID.
It did.
And you said that it was an interesting time, you said. Well, tell us more.
Yeah, well, I bought the business, and then I knew very well that I couldn't run a business on my own. There's not enough of me, or not enough I know. So one of the guys that worked here, I said, "Well, look, why don't you buy a bit of this off me, and we'll use the money as some seed money, so we've got some working capital." Thinking that that was a fortune without knowing very much about the world, and that's what we did. So Ash came in with me, and then we had plans. We thought we can probably do something with this, and a few of the plans started working, and then I can remember saying, "Look, this will be a couple of weeks, mate, but let's go and work out what a Zoom call is and work from home for a bit." But we were having quite a good year, so we had some cash in the bank, and COVID came along, and it was, I think, an absolutely perfect time to reevaluate what the business did, do all those things that you never get time to do, like rebrand it or reposition, or just think, what the hell are you trying to do? Get rid of some work that you're not very good at, or you don't really enjoy. Concentrate on the stuff we do enjoy. We picked up lots of work in women's football actually in that year and the year after COVID, which was pretty exciting. Just say yes, we can do stuff. Keep the team together, keep the team sharp. It was a really nice way of learning how to do it. And let's face it, it was a pretty no lose situation really. If you went bust in COVID, like bad luck, it was COVID's fault. So we could take a few risks that we might not have done had it not happened. So it was looking back, I mean, there was sad times among us and sad times for plenty of people in COVID, but for the business, it was a good thing and an opportunity that I think we'll be grateful for.
Brilliant. Oh, what a great share. So, been going in effect on your own now since 2019, 2025, 6, 7 years. With the benefit of hindsight, knowing what you do now, anything you do differently?
Oh God. Um, Yeah, I think there are some minor things I'd do differently. Um, I think generally, sort of as a philosophy to the business, I think I'd keep that pretty much where we had it and where we have it now. Um, I mean, different. It's a really difficult question to ask. I think a lot of people I know who are entrepreneurs would, if you could do something differently, you just do it. That's the lovely thing about running a business. When you make a mistake, as long as it's not catastrophic or irresponsible, you can generally do it differently. So that isn't an option, I think, that doesn't exist. So yes, I've made probably every other decision I've made has been a mistake. But the good ones tend to be the bad ones, and the bad ones you can generally flip around. Um, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I'd have shown the world that I predicted COVID, which I didn't. But I drew a map for Ash telling him this is, you see them in cartoons, this is where we're going to go. And we drew an imaginary figure on the wall and said, let's get there, which we thought was the biggest thing we could ever do. So we wrote down a turnover and we said, like, let's employ 20 people. There were six of us. And we took the business on, seven of us, including me. And this just so happened to go up and down. And I was like, see, look, I predicted COVID. Don't worry, we're fine. We'll keep going. We call it the mountain range. Uh, um, yeah, I won't. So yeah, that was as far as our business plan went. Let's do something we think's really hard and see if we get there. But because we didn't have one, we didn't notice we hit it. So and we hit it pretty quickly. So I think if I'd been more prescriptive with that, we'd have noticed that we were doing what we were trying to do, and we'd have probably turned around a bit faster and tried to do something else, which is where we are right now.
Brilliant. So, what do you actually attribute your growth to?
No idea. Well, for a start, actually, I think for me, the pursuit of growth has always been yeah, a real low priority. I think to to seek growth for growth's sake is for me completely demotivating. It doesn't allow you to savor the moments where you're successful. It doesn't allow you to notice why something didn't do as well as it was, and it's the wrong metric. Um, we Ash and I both wanted to make somewhere where my sort of personal business goals were to be happy, which I stole off a friend of mine, Toby over at TRS Design in Nottingham, but build happiness into your stuff. Like, is what you're doing making you happy? And if it's not, stop doing it. And this isn't just me, this is the people that work here, people that work with me. And be helpful, like do stuff that's helpful because that tends to motivate me and it tends to attract people that want to work in a team that I want to run. Uh, and then it was sort of create better because what we do, our output's got to be creative. And then just ask yourself how could it have been better? Don't be arrogant enough to say it was good enough first time. So I think that was really good. Like do stuff that makes people happy and do stuff that's helpful. I would attribute that to our growth. And those are very soft business. That's not a very saleable business product. And we worked with sort of brand people. Chris, who works here, and the team built us a better proposition, a stronger one you could actually buy. That was a good thing. Like rebranding, making something specific, simple, something that clients could understand they might want. Um, but yeah, I think maybe I quite like a contrarian answer, but not to focus on growth, to allow growth to be a symptom of a successful business rather than the reason that it's here. I would put that down to what's got us where we are right now.
What a great share. That's made me think as well. Is that yeah? I think a lot of people will actually look at that, John, and think, yeah, that makes sense. To be honest with you, and it's the happy thing. It's the happy culture. It's happy you want to do it. So consequently, by doing what you want to do and the passion you want to do, then invariably you grow anyway. So you've got a young family. So how do you balance your personal life and your business life?
Ooh, now, pretty well,
Good.
I think. Um, One, I've got an incredible partner. My wife Katie's very, very good at sort of supporting me gently or telling me stuff I need to hear when I should hear it. She's more argumentative than I am, and she wins. So that helps me balance that. Doing work that makes you feel good means that you don't come home feeling, bad. To avoid using an expletive that will stop it
Yeah.
going on YouTube. Um, So doing work that's good is generally, it means that you're not at work all the time. So you don't need an outlet. Like, I mean, I play golf as a hobby, but I don't need it. I don't need to go and play golf before I can be happy. Um, so that's a good thing. I've got two amazing kids. And I've got plenty of things that I do plenty of other jobs that I do that aren't just this one. Um, so it's all, you can give everything a little bit of time. And then probably the most important thing is having a really, really good team. Um, everyone that does their role here at TMG is better than I do it. They do it far better than I can, and which means that it's silly me being here micromanaging stuff. So they do it, and they come to me if they've got a problem, if there's something standing in their way of doing it well. Excuse me, doing it well, which allows me to go home, which wasn't always the case. So recruiting people well, and then letting them do their jobs is a good
Brilliant.
thing.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, another great share. Final question. What is the best advice you give to an 18-year-old you?
An 18-year-old me. Uh, don't know. I've had a decent run of stuff, so I think I think it would be like just have a go, you know, have a go, and regardless of what it is, just don't stand in your own way. Don't worry about failure. Like failure, really, you don't remember anything you failed at unless you did a really bad job, and then you should remember it. Yeah, go and have a go. I think.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, go and have a go. John, thanks so much for your time.
Tim, thank you very much. It's, yeah, lovely to see you, and thanks for listening to my ramblings, everyone.